What is up, my lovely people in Blue Tablet Land? So today's video, guys, is gonna be more of just a fun drawing video, and there's no really teaching in place, but I just wanted to draw something in the realm of real estate. So as you can see over here, I drew this kind of cool, imaginary-looking, floating away city. And theme behind this has got to be a lot of high-rise buildings that I've seen over the years, whether it be the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, the Sears Tower in Chicago, Illinois, and I want to say some few buildings that I seen back in 2019 when I was in Kuwait. But all in all, I mean, real estate has always been something that I've always been fascinated by, and the fact that it's got so many areas of specialization that you can possibly get into. You can be a real estate developer, a real estate agent, or you can be an interior designer. Not that that's completely real estate related, or you have some sort of real estate training, but just the idea of having to design interiors for places and all that. So high-rise buildings, I think for me personally, have always been my favorite, for the fact that the taller the building, the better the view. And I think the first high-rise building that I was ever up in was in the Air India building, which was located in Bombay. And this was about, I think maybe I want to say at least 25-30 years ago, maybe when I was about 10 or 11, maybe younger. And I used to go with my uncle, and when we used to go up in this building, they had these nice almost like floor to ceiling kind of glasses, and you could always look outside and just take in the cool view of the city. I mean, you could see the water on one side, and then you could see the buses and cars and everything moving down. Although it would look really small, it almost mimicked the whole idea of when you sit at a window seat on the plane and you just happen to look outside when the plane is about to land or take off. So yeah, but all in all, I mean, drawing these cool dreamy looking or dream style looking illustrations has always been something I've always wanted to do. And I think when I was scrolling on Instagram, I stumbled upon this account by the name of Jazz Arts, and this illustrator / artist creates these cool dream type or dream style looking rooms created around different couples. And pretty much what he does is he just makes a room, sometimes totally out of imagination, and then the other times it is the client will request certain things and then he kind of builds these rooms. But the whole process in itself is so cool, because there's so much storytelling with all the rooms and the intricate detail that go into it, whether it be the nice cozy fireplace or the floor to ceiling windows, and then you have those nice beautiful sunrises and sunsets. But one room that stands out as my most favorite illustration that he's ever done is, I believe it's called Rainy Night. And pretty much what the title of the illustration is, it's a couple sitting on this nice little L-shaped sofa set, and it's in a living room, and they have these huge windows overlooking this big city. And you can tell it's a nice evening where it has just rained all day, and there's all these different colors of lights and dark blue that kind of overtake the city as the sun sets and the evening takes effect. And then you have the beautiful lights of the inside of the room and the contrast of the outside. So all in all, I mean, it was a beautiful illustration. And I think ever since I seen that, I was like, what, it would be fun to just do illustrations like that for fun. So pretty much this is what this illustration is all about up until now. And just going with the flow. So for this one over here, my take on this one would definitely have to be the Sears Tower. And what I liked most about the Sears Tower is when I stayed in Chicago back in 2002, the window of my bedroom faced directly towards the Sears Tower. So whenever I would go to sleep at night or I was at my study table, I could just look out my window and see directly. I could see the Sears Tower, I could see the beautiful antenna looking things on the top. And then, just looking at downtown Chicago, you could see the train, which is, I think, the red line that was almost kind of close enough to the apartment complex or the high-rise building where you could see it from the window. And, just the usual hustle and bustle of Chicago. But as I said earlier, real estate is something that I've always had a long interest with. And I think the reason why I've liked real estate is because, there's so much to offer in it. There's not just one thing you can just fall in love with. When it comes to building design or whether it comes to apartments or beautiful houses, each construction has got its own very cool story to tell for the buyer or somebody that's looking to sell and all that. So for this illustration, I wanted to create a very dream-centric or dream-related kind of scene. And what I wanted to show is all these high-rise buildings were built on this, some sort of, like an island. And then eventually they all started floating away because of the fact that, nowadays when you think of real estate, at least in India and different other parts of the world, there are always these developers that are looking to cut corners in the aspect of to increase their profits. And so that being said, they take some shortcuts here and there to speed up the process. And for the longevity of the project, you kind of see that these buildings don't really stand up the test of time. You'll have leakings, and then you'll have the cracks showing up, and things that you would anticipate to show up maybe a few years after the construction is said and done. So that's what I wanted to show, that the obviously I didn't show the people of the buildings, but I kind of wanted to show that these buildings just started slowly floating off into space. Well, not space, but kind of the area around them. And then everything kind of like the leaves, and then you see the street lights and all the other things around it. But as I was saying earlier, that illustrator was talking about Jazz Arts. His style of creating rooms is beautiful, because his use of color and the lights and everything that he shows in his illustrations is beautiful in the aspect, because it actually looks like when he draws a lamp or a fireplace that it's actually glowing, and you can actually see the light that these things emit kind of in the surrounding objects around them, which is something I want to get good at. And obviously I know it's going to take time, but all in all, these illustrations are just going to be something that I do for fun. And hopefully anybody that's watching out there that likes these dreamy looking illustrations or something in relation to real estate or houses or shops will kind of have some fun enjoying drawing along or just listening to me ramble on. So back when I was in art school, which is about 20 plus years ago, I think I may have spoken about this in another video, but I'll talk about it again, is we first had a class which was called perspective drawing. Now, up until this point, I had never really heard about the concept of perspective drawing and what exactly it meant. But when the professor talked about it, the more he spoke about it, the more sense it made, And the part that was really interesting for me for this class is you could take a blank piece of paper and create the illusion of depth on this blank piece of paper, almost like to the point where you feel like you could put your finger or your hand on the object and it actually looked 3D. So the first project that he assigned for us was to create a living room, and I kind of had a whole lot of fun doing that. But this part over here is kind of annoying because I was trying to color it, and I've not drawn with raster based art for a little while. And what's annoying is, I'm sure other artists can relate to this, is if you don't have a pixel that's fully filled or part of the line art, when you go to drop color, it just kind of like bleeds all over the place, and then you gotta undo what you're doing just to go find that spot. So this was kind of annoying at this point. So I was like, I was gonna keep recording the entire coloring process, but then I was like, let me stop. And anyway, coming back to what I was saying is I was drawing the living room, and the fun part about it is he told us, like, make the living room completely out of your imagination. It shouldn't be anything that you've seen. And then when we come back to class, which is the following week, we'll critique these drawings and go from there. So I thought that was really fun. And then I think we had some other fun projects in this class, and I think one was, as I said, the living room. The other was he wanted us to design kind of like a virtual shop, and so on and so forth. But ever since then, and since I heard the concept of perspective drawing, I've always tried to incorporate it in some of the illustrations that I do, so that way the illustration doesn't look flat, So for the colors over here, I chose these teals and this sunflower looking, or not sunflower, but more like a orangish sunset looking yellow. And I wanted to just keep it to a minimal palette and see how it turns out. This illustration actually took me, I think I want to say about 2.5 days, because the sketch phase was one part, the line art was a second part, and then this coloring part was a second part. So all in all, I think the time that takes the most, or the thing that takes the most time, is when you have to do the shading and rendering, is because you gotta go over each object and manually do it. I mean, yes, you could do it with the selection tool, and that would make things go along much quicker. But I just wanted to take my time and just enjoy the drawing process. And I've not drawn these in a very long time, so this one is a little bit rusty, and hopefully the next one will be a little bit better, and take a break from drawing my character creatures or people that I've been drawing for the last few videos. So yeah, but what was I gonna say? I think sometimes going on Pinterest also kind of helps to look up illustrations and seeing what other artists have done. And there are a bunch of different artists that do these type of real estate, roomy type of drawings, or based on just room drawings. And it's kind of cool to see what people's imagination is like. I can't remember what is this artist that I'd found, and this artist kind of did also these dream type fantasy looking rooms, but it was in a miniature kind of a concept. And one of the illustrations that he did was this little, I think you want to call it maybe kind of like a drawing room, maybe, or a room to read a book or something, but he kind of did the whole room inside a glass jar, which is kind of cool. So he kind of gave it the look it's kind of winter outside the glass jar, but it's nice and warm and cozy inside it. So I mean, the use of color that he or she used was really beautiful. And I think definitely the use of color plays a lot of what do you call it, importance when you're trying to storytell and put the whole illustration together. Let's say, I mean, yes, I did do the teals and the yellow in this part, but as you'll see in the very end, I kind of wanted to play around with the colors, and I kind of did that off camera or while I was not recording, and kind of went in and drastically changed out what I did over here. But I mean, at this point, I mean, I was really enjoying coloring with the teals and yellow, and they kind of complement each other, and they get that nice bright sunny look, and it also has that nice aqua, kind of like a sea theme. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, yeah, this was really fun and enjoyable to do, and I hope you guys enjoyed this illustration as much as I did. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up, and you can see what I finally ended up doing. Ta-da! This is the final one, guys. So hopefully you all enjoyed this and had fun drawing along, and we will catch up in the next video. Take care. Bye for now.